Tonight, voters turn out in their numbers across Ekiti state to elect their next governor in a poll that has been adjudged as peaceful. Candidates in the Ekiti state governorship election optimistic of a credible electoral process as Yaga Africa and Channels Television launch election results analysis dashboard to promote transparency. National Human Rights Commission calls for collective strategies to tackle hate speech ahead of the 2023 general elections. And Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky makes rare visits to frontline cities of Mykolaiv and Odessa amid raging war with Russia.
And on business news tonight, Bitcoin sinks below $20,000 as crypto meltdown intensifies.
And on sports news, four-time Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka has withdrawn from the Wimbledon Championship due to an Achilles injury. It's now a waiting game for the outcome of the governorship election conducted across the state, that's Ekiti State today, following the conclusion of the exercise. The election witnessed a large turnout of residents who trooped out to choose a new governor to succeed Governor Kade Fayemi, who is at the tail end of his second four-year tenure. 16 political parties are vying for the governorship seat in an election that many expect to produce credible results owing to new measures adopted by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
Early Saturday morning, INEC officials take stock of election materials kept in registration centres of local government offices after receipt from the Commission on Thursday evening. Buses are loaded with voting materials ready for distribution to various polling units across the state. Voters themselves leave nothing to chance as they troop to polling centres nearest to their homes to exercise their franchise unhindered as promised by INEC. They diligently search for their names, aware of the importance of the next 24 hours and how the burden of choosing Governor Kade Fayemi's successor falls on their shoulders. This continues while INEC officials also continue to set up. Accreditation of voting begins at 8:30 a.m. Some of the first to vote are the aged. But it's not smooth sailing at St. Michael's Primary School in Ekiti as an old woman is led away, frustrated owing to the failure of the Beavers machine to capture her credentials. It's a different story in Ekiti, where the process seems smoother for other aged voters. She's grateful for completing the task and doesn't hide her excitement. Other priority voters are physically challenged persons who are also given all necessary assistance. Meanwhile, 73-year-old Adefemi Ugunride is one of the first to vote at polling unit 2 in Ekiti. He tells us his experience.
Some people, they find the name. The time we had to go there, one of my daughters really find my name for me.
Others get the chance to exercise their franchise in Ekiti Central and other polling units across the state as election observers like the team from the U.S. Embassy and other groups continue to monitor the process for the rest of the day.
Indeed, today's governorship election in Ekiti State came without much security threat and has largely been adjudged as peaceful. However, vote buying appeared to have been an issue to grapple with as operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, were able to arrest some culprits. This next report takes a look at the security arrangements during the election.
It's a combination of security forces deployed to ensure safe and violence-free governorship polls here in Ekiti State. Police officers at the proximate areas and even the anti-graft agency on patrol hunting for vote buyers.
The entire state has been calm. There has not been any untoward development anywhere. We have not received any adverse reports of any kind coming from any part of the state because adequate deployments had been made before the election, and during the election you still have our men in all the nooks and crannies of the state.
Destruction and carting away of ballot boxes may not have to be prominent in this election, but a monster called vote buying rears its ugly head again.
MCN, Messi, with all their name and their phone number, look at it. What are you talking? Look at it. Look at it, voter with 004 voters tracking with all the numbers. Look at it.
In Ekiti South Axis, the House of Assembly by-election for the Ekiti East State Constituency 1, aborted by violence and deaths last year, has now been held under a peaceful atmosphere.
Today, it's been so peaceful. You can see that we've already finished voting, and nothing was amiss throughout. Fortunately, the beavers also worked all through, and we've not had any cause for concern.
Some voters and candidates believe vote-buying menace remains a nagging illegality.
I will not buy votes. I've done what is expected. But then, right before my eyes like this, when people start hearing 10,000 for your votes, right in front of me, they are selling votes. So, but then we'll get there. We'll get there. There's a bit of improvement now. INEC, as a vote, they have done what is expected. They have done beautifully well. With the integration of technology now, I give it to them.
What they do is that instead of going to the cubicle to cast their vote and fold it from the cubicle, most of them will not. They will show it, turn it upside down so that the person to give them the money will be able to know that they have casted vote on their behalf of their party. And they will now go back to collect their money at the back door.
In spite of the menace of vote buying, the consensus is that the election was peaceful, and the next few hours will indeed determine who becomes the governor of Ekiti State, as residents of the state await INEC's announcement of the results.
I will certainly have more on the Ekiti governorship election later with our correspondent Kayode Okikiolu from Ekiti State. Moving on, for many Nigerians who have looked forward to more credible and transparent electoral process in the country, well, this may be something to cheer about. The Ekiti election comes with some innovation, as Yaga Africa and Channels Television have launched an election results analysis dashboard to promote transparency of election results. The dashboard is based on official results uploaded on INEC's results viewing portal, which involves scanning or photographing polling unit result sheets called Form EC8A, once they are completed, verified, and subsequently uploaded. The portal allows members of the public to create personal accounts and login details with which they can gain access to all uploaded results stored as PDF files. Some Yaga officials have been speaking on this innovation.
Yaga Africa has introduced a school of politics on television.
Yes.
So all the Twitter people, I'm sure they are hooked on here now.
Yeah.
You get to now learn in very simple, irreducible terms how these things work. And you can then follow it, bit by bit, in small bits, and understand it better. So this is exciting for Nigeria, because at the end of the day, you are now able to follow polling unit by polling unit results that perhaps you'll be waiting till tomorrow to, and then ask somebody to do the research to tell you how they voted in Ekiti, how they voted in Oye, how they voted in Ileje Meje and all of those places. But we're seeing something beautiful going on here now.
Yeah, and I think that's what the era tries to achieve, with this partnership. You can just go and vote and it's tune in onto your TV, to the channels, television, and you can actually follow the results. And I believe that this is how we begin opening up the whole process. Usually we see this happening in other climes. We're also trying to let voters and citizens know that with this partnership with Yaga African channels, that's what you see happening and watching on TV in other climes is actually possible in Nigeria, and technology makes it easy for us to achieve this.
Well, the National Human Rights Commission has called on all stakeholders in the country to ensure the dissemination of hate speech is drastically reduced as Nigeria approaches the 2023 general elections. Speaking at the stakeholders meeting in Abuja, the executive secretary of the commission says it's important to tackle the menace now in order not to jeopardize the successful conduct of the 2023 general elections.
Addressing the menace of hate speech is a matter of great concern for all of us. This will prevent conflicts and advance peace and progress in our country. We move bold to say that the National Human Rights Commission is monitoring keenly the use of hate speeches ahead of the 2023 elections. And we will not, hold back our mandate to institute another public hearing if we feel or if we find out that the trend is getting so bad that could threaten the 2023 elections. We may have to invoke our mandate and institute another public hearing on those who are using hate speeches to conduct the 2023 elections. Today's event presents yet another opportunity to address the menace of hate speech in Nigeria. The Commission acknowledges the United Nations Strategy and Plan of Action on Hate Speech, which provides a coordinated action to tackle hate speech at the international and national levels. Of course, the Commission cannot do this alone. We must do this with stakeholders, civil society groups, and we're happy that you are here today so that all of us working together, we can monitor hate speech during this election and make sure that our country does not degenerate into another violence during the 2023 elections.
In part two, after the break, the Elders Council of Ohanese Ndigbo alleges political gang-up against the region by the main political parties during the just concluded party primaries. We'll also be heading to Ekiti State for a situation report on the Ekiti governorship poll. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Voters turn out in their numbers across Ekiti State to elect their next governor in a poll that has been adjudged as peaceful. Candidates in the Ekiti State governorship election optimistic of a credible electoral process as Yaga Africa and Channels Television launch election results analysis dashboard to promote transparency. National Human Rights Commission calls for collective strategies to tackle hate speech ahead of the 2023 general elections. And Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky makes rare visits to frontline cities of Mykolaiv and Odessa amid raging war with Russia. Right, for more on the Ekiti governorship election, let's head to Ekiti State, where our correspondent Kayode Okikiolu is standing by to give us a situation report as it is. Great to have you, Kayode. What can you tell us at this moment in time?
Well, good evening, Ayotunde. It's quite a day here in Ekiti State covering the 2022 governorship election. Voting has definitely ended around 2:30 as scheduled by INEC. The sorting, the counting has been done as well. Where we are right now is essentially getting the results from the wards, the polling units, the local governments to the center, to the database. INEC is using its new technology, as it were, the result viewing portal. And interestingly, we have incorporated that into an election results analysis dashboard, the ERAD, brought to you by Channels Television in partnership with Yaga Africa. It's a game changer for elections in Nigeria. And I'd just like to quickly walk our viewers through what we have so far with the ERAD. Essentially, we're collating all of the results INEC is getting from the result viewing portal. We're putting them together to give you a sense of what to expect. So right here is the Ekiti governorship election 2022 election results analysis dashboard ERAD. Essentially paints a picture of the local governments, the major parties, 16 local governments actually we have in Ekiti State, and we have a candidate vying for the #1 seat, 16 of them. Now you see the total number of registered voters right there, over 900,000. But let me take you into the nitty-gritty of this. I'll start with a chart summary, essentially. It gives us the results that have been collated so far. We're nearing the end, as I said, just about 7 polling units or thereabout being expected. But it's a lot, putting this together. But this is what we have so far. The APC is ahead, the PDP, well, followed by the SDP, actually, then the PDP and the ADP. But let me take you even deeper into the election summary quickly. And here we can take a look at the candidates who are vying for the position. We have the APC's candidate, the PDP's candidate, the SDP's candidate, the candidate of the ADP, Accord, the Labour Party, and as well as other parties. But let's go back and show you what this race is looking like so far. It's turning out to be a 3-horse race, really, with the APC, of course, taking the lead from what we have so far. The SDP follows next, and we have the PDP. This is a picture of the results from the polling unit level. It's important to state that what you're seeing on this map of the local government, they're results from the polling units level. So they have not been put together just yet. The crack team, the whiz kids or whiz adults in this case, are putting together the figures just to give you, our viewers, a sense of what to expect in this election. But the interesting thing as well with ERAD is we can always compare what we had the previous time out with what to expect this time around, and you have a versus, as it were. So this is what we had in 2018 regarding how the Ekiti people, the people of Ekiti, voted, and this is what to expect in 2022. So 2018, you see just how much of the local governments the APC had and how much the PDP had. But it looks like it's different this time around because SDP seems to be changing the game. It's still quite early in the day, really, to speak to that, but at least our viewers can have a sense of what the results look like and what they will eventually look like in the coming hours. The REC, INEC's REC in Ekiti State said that, well, they're trying to break the record this time around and ensure that the results come in maybe today, perhaps looks like early tomorrow morning. But we are right here to give our viewers all of the angles, especially regarding the final results for the 2022 Ekiti governorship election.
Many thanks, Akadio Kikolu, for giving us that situation update there as far as the Ekiti governorship elections are concerned. Well, more on the Ekiti governorship elections, of course. Well, candidates have been speaking on the outcome of the polls, which was held in the early hours of today. Of course, we did tell you that the election witnessed a large turnout of residents who trooped out to choose a new governor to succeed Governor Kade Fayemi, who is at the tail end of his 4-year tenure. Of course, 16 political parties are vying for the #1 seat. Our correspondent, Emperor Simon, tells us more.
INEC officials and security personnel leave deploying election materials to their various polling units as early as 6:30 in the morning. Across the 3 senatorial districts of Ekiti State, voters turn out in large numbers to exercise their franchise. Among them are the aged, who despite their frail nature turn out to perform their civic obligation. This 100-year-old woman is a sensation as she is excited to cast her vote for the candidate of her choice. The candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Otumba Bisi Kolawole, is the first to vote at Ward 8, Unit 2 at Ojodi in Efon Alaye local government area.
Well, I'm very hopeful. I've worked very hard. And Ekiti people cannot wait to have me as their next governor, at the grace of God. I'm very optimistic. I know it's God that appoints the king. It's God that anoints the king. I'm telling you, God has anointed me. God has crowned me with the governorship slot in Ekiti State, and you are talking to your next governor in Ekiti.
1 minute.
It took only about 3 minutes for the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Abayomi Oyebanji, to be accredited at his polling unit, after which he cast his votes.
The process is seamless. I've just cast my votes and everything went very well. I must commend INEC for the improvements on their last outing. It went very well. Definitely, in every process, there will be room for improvements. But this is an improvement upon their last outing. So I hope that they will keep improving on this.
The candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Mr. Shegun Oni, who votes at Ward 2, Unit 6 in Ifaki, Ekiti, believes the confidence of the electorate is pronounced in the poll as he alleges vote buying in Ado and Oye local government areas.
I would say it went without hitch, but you cannot use an occurrence to judge the overall results of an election. I've received reports of vote buying in Ado, and I've received the reports of vote buying in Oye. Those are the adverse reports I've received so far. Whatever they do, we will beat them. Ekiti people and Nigerians know who will win these elections.
However, some voters complain about being disenfranchised because their names could not be found on the voter register.
They checked the register. I have the card with me. My name was found in the register, but it's not in the machine. They are trying to confirm from the machine we are supposed to take a photograph. The name was not surfaced there, so I don't know what could have been responsible for that. But the truth of the matter is that I've been disfranchised. For now, I will not be able to vote. Despite the fact that I duly registered, I have the card, the name is out, but I'll be denied.
At about 2:30 p.m., sorting of ballot papers began in many polling units, followed by the counting of votes. With voting over, the people of Ekiti are waiting anxiously for the results of the election to be collated and announced by INEC. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Still talking politics, the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC Chief Bola Tinubu, has described the president as a true leader, a brother and friend who demonstrated a sense of purpose, composure and maturity in the weeks leading to the special convention of the party. A presidential media aide, Mr. Femi Adesina, explained in a statement that Chief Tinubu's compliments were contained in a letter personally signed by the APC leader. He adds that Chief Tinubu expressed gratitude for the president's congratulatory letter to him, while also thanking the president for allowing a level playing field and not choosing his own successor. Meanwhile, the presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, Rabiu Kwankwaso, has revealed that his camp is in talks with Labour Party presidential candidate Mr. Peter Obi over a possible alliance. Speaking in an interview on BBC Hausa, the former governor of Kano State said family and well-wishers are optimistic about the merger. There have been speculations of a third force to challenge the APC and the PDP, and Kwankwaso and Obi are reportedly exploring the possibility of creating an alliance in the 2023 general elections. In the meantime, the NNPP has also confirmed the discussions between both parties, which it says are still ongoing. The leadership of the Elders Council of Ohanese Ndigbo, a social political group in the southeast of the country, is alleging a massive political gang-up against the region by prominent political parties during the just concluded primaries. Addressing journalists after an emergency meeting of the group in Abuja, the chairman of the Elders Council expresses the group's disappointment over the failure of the main political parties to elect a presidential candidate from the southeast.
We are terribly disappointed. We are disappointed that there seemed to be a conspiracy by all the two major political parties to deny Igbos the opportunity to produce a presidential candidate. The parties all agreed that the zoning should be north and south. And Ohanese believe that if he's coming to the south, since southwest has gone, south-south have gone, it's now our turn. Ohanese did everything possible to convince the southwest and convince the south-south. And they all agreed that it will be turn of southeast. So we feel terribly betrayed, not by the elders, but by these political people, because we are sure that the elders in the whole South and Middle Belt supported Igbo candidature. So it is our view, strong view, that this zoning should be put in the Constitution, and it should be rotated among the 6 geopolitical zones.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Bitcoin sinks below $20,000 as crypto meltdown intensifies. That's on Business News. Join us again. Welcome back. Airlines in Nigeria appear to be in dire straits as an important cost factor in their operation. Jet A1 price spirals out of control. This is not unconnected with the current foreign exchange crisis in the country, and the operators are asking the federal government to keep to its promise of providing 10,000 metric tons of aviation fuel to its members. Our aviation correspondent Bukola Jo Oketumbi tells us more.
Passengers on the airside as they board their flights. Some of these big birds flying in Nigeria's domestic airspace may have their operational days numbered. That's a fact coming from the airline operators of Nigeria.
The current fuel situation will take out not less than at least about 3 airlines out of existence in this country in the coming months, if not weeks. And that is very scary. And we shouldn't allow this to happen. We must protect jobs.
Why? That's simply because Jet A1, which accounts for about 40% of operating costs, is now about 120% of airline expenses in Nigeria. The commodity, which was 190 naira a litre some months ago, is now over 700 naira.
From 200 naira last year to now about 700, we received from one of the marketers 714 to a litre. The 737 Classic most of us use in Nigeria burns about 4,365 liters an hour. You're already having about almost 4 million or 3.8 million fuel costs alone.
While this is impacting on the cost of tickets, an airline operator says fares climbing higher may portend doom for the business.
We're stuck in a dichotomy, really. If we increase the price too much, we would lose consumer demand. So it's finding the sweet spot between pricing and balancing the demand. Right now, because we want to operate the schedule we have, a reduced schedule, we want to make sure we fly full. So raising prices would be counterproductive, I think, not just to us, but the sector as a whole.
To stem the increasing costs, the House of Assembly about a month ago had a meeting with all stakeholders to chart a way forward, and the federal government then approved 10,000 metric tons of aviation fuel for the airlines, but the carriers say they're yet to access this.
We've been on the government's case for, 3-4 months now. Despite their best efforts, we're still where we are today, where the price of fuel continues to increase. So if we were to sit down and wait for that, will probably not be around for much longer. We appreciate the efforts by the government, but it's not happening anytime fast.
Beyond the fuel challenge, an operator says the airport authority can offer a lifeline.
The parastatals too should come in at this stage and say, well, maybe landing and parking will be suspended or reduced at this stage. Something has to be done.
Apart from the COVID-19 crisis worldwide, this aviation fuel challenge may be the hardest experience for most airlines, and operators say they're waiting for the implementation of the federal government's promise as a means to ease their burden.
In other stories, as part of the post-insurgent resettlement and rehabilitation scheme in the Northeast, the Borno state government is pledging to increase investment in the state's healthcare system. The Deputy Governor of the state, Mr. Umar Kadafur, explains that healthcare is a priority for the administration, as over 7 million people in the state are in dire need of health services. He stated this at the handing over of 2 oxygen plants set up by the United States at the State Specialist Hospital in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital.
The State Specialist Hospital in Maiduguri is host to several dignitaries in the state, including development partners and health workers. The United Nations Office for Project Services is donating 2 oxygen plants and 23 refrigerators to the state government as part of efforts to provide improved healthcare services for over 7 million people within 26 local government areas in the state, of which 24% are children and approximately 45% are women.
The facilities that have been handed over today comprises of oxygen production area, the manager's office, common room for staff, washrooms for staff that are gender compliant, the waiting areas for customers, storage areas for the empty and filled cylinders, respectively. The oxygen plant has the capacity to produce over 200 cylinders per day, as against the initial proposed capacity of just 100 cylinders per day.
Healthcare service delivery in the state is one of the key components of the Northeast Development Master Plan, and the state government is committed to making significant contribution to the improvement of healthcare facilities.
The healthcare sector has been and will continue to be one of the top priorities of this administration, so as to provide affordable and accessible healthcare delivery service to our people. This informed the government to spend huge amount of resources in rehabilitation of hospitals and healthcare centers, as well as building new ones across the state.
Our aim as the Commission charged with the responsibility of revamping, rebuilding and reconstructing the Northeast zone in the fields of infrastructure, human and social services, which of course includes healthcare and nutrition. It is important to support all efforts made by both international and local development partners to ensure to improve quality of life of our citizens.
According to the state government, health centers are becoming more vulnerable without oxygen plants, and this $3.5 million project is one step towards the plan to ensure affordable and quality access to healthcare delivery in the state.
Well, there have been growing concerns over the state of insecurity across the country following the activities of insurgents, cultists and kidnappers, among others, and the Niger Delta region is not left out. But security officials in Rivers State believe that the Governor Nyesom Wike administration has made appreciable progress in curbing crime in the state. This next report examines the efforts geared to stamp out criminality in Rivers State, especially in the past 3 years.
The lingering insecurity in Nigeria may have been more pronounced in the northern part of the country. But the oil-rich states of the Niger Delta region have equally had their fair share of the challenge with kidnapping, armed robbery, sea piracy, and other crimes. The Rivers State government says it has recorded a marked improvement in fighting crime in the last 3 years, due to what the State Commissioner of Police describes as renewed efforts by the police and other security agencies.
Rivers State was actually hot. The crime was high, but now everyone can attest to the fact that crime has nosedived. The state generally is calm compared to what it was when I took over in February 2021.
One of the measures that has aided peace in Rivers State is the operation of a new security outfit codenamed Operation Sting in 2019 and the relaunch of the C-41 Security Initiative.
The name alone rings bell. It gives you a sense of direction that yes, any person manning the security aspect of governance in Rivers State knows what he's doing. So I will tell you that that operation itself, as successful as anyone could rate it, performed or aided in the security of the state.
For some stakeholders, deploying new commissioners of police to the state is not the solution.
If government is up and doing in providing those fundamentals, like I've talked about, security gadgets like gadgets to like cameras to check, providing body cams, for security agencies. We are saying that if these things are fixed, the question of deploying and redeploying may not really be much of an issue if these fundamentals are fixed.
Analysts believe that sustaining the gains recorded in Rivers State requires well-funded community policing.
I have always advocated for a state policing architecture to be established through the constitution, a constitutional provision, so that any state that has the resources to establish hers should do that as immediately as possible.
When the state police comes to play, they will not know how they will get into the communities. As a matter of fact, it will make intelligence gathering, harmonization, and implementation very, very, very effective.
Law enforcement in Rivers State is crucial to keeping the peace in the Niger Delta, especially with the forthcoming 2023 general elections in view.
One of the major challenges facing businesses in Nigeria is poor electricity supply. Multiple taxation, poor infrastructure, inadequate access to fund, and inconsistent policies also continue to pose as a setback to the development of small and medium sectors of the economy. Our next report looks at how owners of small businesses are able to survive despite these challenges.
Meet Kafila Tayeni, one of Nigeria's budding entrepreneurs. She's making her way into the global market with her agro products. However, like many growing businesses in Nigeria, she's facing several challenges.
If at all this place is solar powered today, the cost of my production will be about 40% gone. So if today this place is solar powered, I don't need to buy diesel, which I've been running since 8 a.m. today. They just brought light, as you can see. And if I'm on a prepaid meter, I spend roughly 150 to 200,000 in a month.
Nigeria is ranked 131 among 190 economies in the ease of doing business according to the latest World Bank annual ratings. While the government considers this an improvement, challenges such as poor infrastructure, lack of access to finance, as well as insecurity still persists. Samson Sule is a fashion designer in Abuja. He represents several other entrepreneurs who are weathering the storm in spite of the improvement in the ease of doing business ranking.
We are trying for the business, but the only issue we get for the business is the economy. And we are trying our best. Material, everything is expensive, but we are trying to manage most of our customers at least to cut down the expenses a little. For Jane, I spend no less than 20,000 naira. And other challenge also what we get for this market, the prepaid that they give it to us, if they own Gen, our prepaid still they run and we pay service charge. It's another challenge that we are facing more for this market.
Some of the parameters used in ranking of countries for the ease of doing business rating include starting the business, dealing with construction permits, access to electricity, access to credit, payment of taxes, trading across border, and contract enforcement. The agency in charge of supporting small and medium entrepreneurs highlights steps adopted to ease business operations in the country.
We just did a matching fund program with 3 banks, Jaiz Bank, Sterling Bank, and the Bank of Agri, where SMEs in the agribusiness can access between 1.2 and 5 million naira to inject into their businesses. This is one of the numerous programs that we hope to roll out. Some of them are ongoing. Some, for example, before the end of this year, we plan to also launch a microfinance bank. So, and this microfinance bank, the agency has the largest share, so that we'll be able to control how they on-lend to MSMEs.
Nigerian entrepreneurs indeed have all it takes to contribute their quota to national development. Addressing the challenges confronting small businesses is a task that the government must take very seriously.
As part of its corporate social responsibility, Ezegbo Slot Foundation has empowered over 90 Nigerian youth with technical and vocational skills. The program aimed at training the youth in mobile phone and laptop repairs was executed in collaboration with the Lagos State Technical and Vocational Education Board and GIZ Germany.
After 12 months of intensive vocational and entrepreneurship training, these 90 participants are now equipped with the technical know-how in mobile phone and laptop repairs. The youths between the ages of 15 and 35 are beneficiaries of the Ezegbo Slot Foundation's vocational and entrepreneurship program, done in collaboration with the Lagos State Technical and Vocational Education Board and GIZ Germany.
Our foundation is so geared towards ensuring that young people spend time to acquire skills that will help them become people that can create value in the future. And I know that once we have vocational skills, we can become self-reliant. And when we become self-reliant, we can also become financially free.
Our mandate as Skills Development for Youth Employment project here in Nigeria, and particularly in Lagos, is to help youth to find employment. And not only to find employment, but to find decent employment, to build up a decent life, a decent living.
The scholarship exercise ran from July 2021 to June 2022, and the participants are happy to have been empowered.
I feel excited, I feel happy, fulfilled, and filled with joy, as in I've been waiting for this day, and it's such a blessed day.
Some of the beneficiaries are either gainfully employed or have set up their own businesses, and to give them a boost, they receive starter packs from the foundation. The Ezegbo Slot Foundation has, since inception in 2015, trained over 2,500 youths as a way of contributing to the human capital development in Nigeria.
Business News is up next with Laddie Williams. Laddie.
Thanks, Ayo. On business news, the Nigeria Export Promotion Council is targeting a growing trade export between Nigeria and Togo to about $650 million by 2025. Speaking during the launch of a trade hub established through a collaboration by the NEPC, Exim Bank, and the National Association of Industrialists, the Executive Director of the Council, Mr. Ezra Yakusak, explains that the move will help Nigeria achieve its drive for an improvement of the non-oil export. Do take a listen.
Between Nigeria and Togo is a bit high. It's encouraging. It's encouraging comparable to other African countries. Right now, Togo is #1 in West Africa in terms of exports to Togo. We export about as of 2021, and this is the ITC trademark. They recorded a trade volume in terms of export of about $499 million to Lome, to Togo. And so, well, that beats other West African countries. So that's encouraging. But that is not enough. We feel that's not enough. And that's why we opened this trade house to see how we can assess other markets, other countries in the West African sub-region, especially the landlocked countries in Burkina Faso, the Niger, and of course Mali. And that's why we're doing that. And our assumption, our estimation is that with the opening of this trade house or the commission of this trade house, we intend to increase export trade to Togo by about 30%. in the next by 2025, and that will give us about $650 million in 2025 at the end of 2025 with this trade house. We're doing everything to leverage on the African Continental Free Trade Area. With this agreement, Nigeria has to do everything to capture the African market, and this is what we are doing.
And earlier today, the price of Bitcoin hit a new low below $20,000, extending a brutal slide in cryptocurrencies. The price of Bitcoin fell more than 6% in 24 hours to about $19,149, according to Coinmetrics data. Last time Bitcoin fell below the 20,000 level was December 2020. Ethereum, the second largest token, plunged 7% to $996, its lowest level since January 2021. Crypto investors are grappling with aggressive interest rate hikes from the U.S. Federal Reserve and a worsening liquidity crunch that has pushed major players into financial difficulty. Remember, the Fed on Wednesday hiked rates by 75 basis points. Its biggest increase since 1994 has led to a retreat from risky assets of all stripes, including stocks and crypto. And back home, the local equities market ended the third week of June again in the red as the market opened for 4 trading days this week as the federal government declared Monday 13th a public holiday celebrating Democracy Day. Its main index, total value, dipped to 2.68% week to date, which is largely attributed to sell-offs in Airtel, MTN, and across sectors like banking and oil and gas. The share price of Learn Africa PLC topped the 10 best gainers as it recorded 15.74% increase, while the Livestock Feeds PLC share price declined the most by 16.88%, while the trio of United Bank for Africa, Sterling Bank, and Transcorp were the top 3 most traded stocks for the week. And while the volume of shares traded within the 4 sessions was lower in contrast to the previous week, as about 940 million shares changed hands for 11.49 billion naira in over 20,000 transactions. And the NASD OTC Securities Exchange Index closed the week on a negative note. The NASD Securities Index dipped by 1.41%. The exchange lost about 10 billion naira in value. Also, volume dropped by 50.77% to 6.06 million units of shares traded. Also, value traded for the week dropped by over 74% to 69.63 million naira. City Trust Holdings PLC and NASD PLC were the gainers for the week, while the Capital Bancorp PLC led 4 other losers. Meanwhile, City Trust Holdings PLC ranked top among 4 other stocks traded by volume for the week. And that's business. It's back to Aya with the rest of the news.
Many thanks, Laddie. The Confederation of African Football, CAF, approved the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo and the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja as venues to host the 2022 African Nations Championship qualifiers next month. The African Football Governing Body said the 2 stadiums can also host other international matches involving Nigeria's national teams. The African Nations Championship qualifiers are slated to begin on July the 22nd. Ducati's Francesco Bagnaia set a lap record at the Sachsenring in practice and capped off his Saturday by grabbing his 3rd pole position of the season to start at the front of the grid at the German Grand Prix. On a track where Ducati have struggled in recent years, Bagnaia was the only rider to finish his qualifying lap inside the 1-minute 20-second mark. He will be joined on the front row by 2 Frenchmen, Yamaha's World Championship leader Fabio Quartararo and Pramac Racing's Johan Zarco. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has visited the city of Mykolaiv near the front lines of the fighting with Russian forces and proceeded to the Odessa region. This is according to his office, which posted a picture of the president visiting the trauma department and talking to wounded soldiers undergoing treatment at a medical facility. President Zelensky has not left Ukraine since the invasion on February the 24th, but he has defied the Russians with visits to areas close to intense fighting. He has also constantly received Western leaders in the capital, Kiev, the latest being the British Prime Minister on Friday. Brazilian police have confirmed that the remains of one of two bodies found in the Amazon rainforest are those of missing British journalist that is, Dom Phillips. Now, the second body is believed to be that of the missing indigenous expert Bruno Pereira, but is still being examined. Both men were first reported missing on June the 5th, and earlier this week, one suspect, identified as Amarillo da Costa de Oliveira, confessed to killing and burying their bodies. He later led police to where the bodies were buried. The suspect's brother was also arrested in connection with the killing. After the first suspect's confession, Dom Phillips' family said they were heartbroken. And the main news again. Voters in Ekiti State today came out in their numbers across the state to elect their next governor in a poll that was adjudged as peaceful. 16 political parties took part in the exercise that is expected to produce a successor to Governor Kaudi Fayemi. And Yaga Africa and Channels Television have launched the Election Results Analysis Dashboard, the ERAD, to help promote transparency. And Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky today made a rare visit to the frontline cities of Mykolaiv and Odessa amidst the raging war with Russia. And that's the news at 10. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. On behalf of all of us here, it's good night. And stay with us because we will be joining Sheon Okibaloye in Ekiti State for a situation update on the Ekiti governorship election coverage.